Walk into any premium Canadian dealership in 2026, from a BMW store in Vancouver to an Audi showroom in Toronto to a Mercedes-Benz dealer in Calgary, and you will spot them. Brand new luxury SUVs with stickers around 80,000 Canadian dollars gleaming under the lights that have been there for months. The salespeople do not push you toward them. The advertising barely mentions them, and the Canadian Black Book residual value forecasts on these vehicles look like a ski slope after a fresh dump. This is the story of 6 premium SUVs that Canadians are quietly refusing to buy in 2026, and the very specific reasons why. To build this ranking, we pulled Des Rosier's automotive registration data, Canadian Black Book residual forecasts, real-time Auto Trader Canada listing volumes, professional reviews from Driving and Motor Trend Canada, and real-world Canadian winter ownership experience. Every vehicle on this list was measured against the same brutal question: what happens when an $80,000 price tag collides with a country where federal incentives just vanished, loan rates sit above 5%, and January mornings can hit minus 43? In early 2026, the federal IZEV rebate vanished overnight, taking up to $5,000 off the table for buyers of luxury electric SUVs. Its replacement, the Electric Vehicle Affordability Program, kept the rebate but set a strict cap. Only vehicles with a final transaction price of $60,000 or less qualify. That leaves every one of these $80,000 SUVs out in the cold. The pain doesn't stop there. Alberta's $5,000 provincial top-up paused in February, erasing another layer of support for buyers in the West. With inflation cooling, but the Bank of Canada's policy rate still above 5%, most buyers now face car loans with annual percentage rates well north of 5%. A typical luxury SUV buyer in Toronto or Calgary is staring at an $80,000 sticker, zero incentive, and a loan rate that adds thousands in interest over the term. For many, the affordability gap is immediate and impossible to ignore. Late January brought a cold snap that even seasoned Canadians found punishing. Kirkland Lake, Ontario, recorded a bone-chilling low of minus 43.7 degrees Celsius on January 24th, 2026, a number that hits like a hammer if you drive an electric SUV. When temperatures plunge that far, every lithium-ion battery on the market takes a hit. Industry tests and owner reports from across the prairies and eastern Canada show a consistent pattern. Usable driving range drops by 30 to 40% compared to the ratings you see on the window sticker. For a luxury electric vehicle promising 450 kilometers, that means you are lucky to get 270 on a frigid morning. This is not just an inconvenience. It is a deal breaker for buyers who commute long distances or travel between cities. The Canadian climate does not care about badge or price. Every $80,000 electric SUV faces the same winter math. Subscribe for more straight talk on Canada's luxury car market. Cadillac's Lyric entered the Canadian market with bold ambitions and a price tag just shy of $100,000. Despite the promise of luxury and advanced technology, sales have faltered. By the second quarter of 2025, Lyric deliveries had dropped 51% year over year, according to GM Authority. The numbers reflect a deeper issue. Prestige alone does not guarantee demand when the ownership math is unforgiving. Winter exposes the gap between brochure claims and reality. While Cadillac advertises a 480-kilometer WLTP range, owner data and a better route planner reveal that in Canadian cold, the Lyric manages only about 310 kilometers, a 35% reduction. For many, that is a deal breaker. The financial picture is no easier. Canadian Black Book estimates the Lyric's 3-year residual at 45%, suggesting a $100,000 SUV could lose over $55,000 before a second owner steps in. Dealers, facing months of unsold inventory, rely on GM's Field Inventory Relief Program to return vehicles at a 10 to 15% discount, a costly escape from mounting floor plan interest. Genesis takes a different path with the GV80, positioning itself as a boutique luxury brand. The electrified GV80 starts at $87,000, with top trims nearing $100,000. Yet exclusivity has not translated to momentum. Desrosiers Automotive reports a 7% drop in Ontario registrations, and AutoTrader shows a 3.6% decline in median listing price. The winter range penalty is just as harsh. The GV80's usable range falls to about 270 kilometers in the cold. Canadian Black Book forecasts a 3-year retention of 48%, better than the Lyric, but still trailing traditional luxury SUVs. Even strong JD Power satisfaction scores cannot offset concerns about limited dealer networks and parts availability. For both Cadillac and Genesis, the numbers behind the badge are forcing buyers to reconsider what luxury means when winter and depreciation set in. Mercedes once stood as the gold standard in Canadian luxury, but the EQE SUV's recent fortunes tell a different story. In 2026, its starting price of $92,800 is overshadowed by a sharp drop in value. Canadian Black Book now estimates the EQE will retain just 46% of its value after 3 years, down from 49% last year. Kelley Blue Book's 5-year outlook is even less forgiving, with retained value slipping to 43%. Dealers have responded with quiet cash incentives, yet unsold EQEs linger from Vancouver to Montreal, some for months. The numbers reflect a shift. Prestige alone no longer guarantees demand, especially when depreciation outpaces expectations. Winter performance adds another layer of concern. While official WLTP figures suggest a 460-kilometer range, real-world tests from Driving and Motor Trend Canada show the EQE struggles to reach 280 kilometers in cold weather. For drivers in cities like Calgary or Ottawa, that means recalculating daily commutes and weekend plans. AutoTrader's regional inventory heat map confirms the hesitancy, with EQEs parked on lots long after rivals move on. Polestar 3 enters as a challenger, promising Scandinavian design and modern tech at just under $99,000. Yet its winter range drops to about 260 kilometers, one of the lowest among its peers according to industry data and owner feedback. The depreciation curve is no kinder. Canadian Black Book pegs the Polestar 3's 3-year residual at 44%, the lowest in its class. AutoTrader listings have dipped over 6% in a year, and the brand's dealer network remains thin, with roughly 230 service points, most tied to Volvo. Rural owners report long waits for parts, and outside major cities, Polestar's presence is almost invisible. For many, choosing the Polestar 3 means accepting risk in exchange for novelty, while the EQE's legacy now comes with caveats. Second place goes to the BMW iX, a luxury SUV that entered the market with high expectations and a price tag near $100,000. Its promise of German engineering and a cutting-edge cabin drew early adopters, but winter quickly exposed the limits. In real-world Canadian cold, the iX's range drops to about 330 kilometers, far less than the advertised 540 kilometers. For drivers facing a February trip from Toronto to Ottawa, that shortfall means extra planning and anxiety. According to Desrosiers Automotive, a notable share of iX owners trade out within the first year, many returning to the gasoline X5. The depreciation is sharp. Canadian Black Book estimates the iX holds just 45 to 50% of its value after 3 years. That is a loss of over $50,000 before the warranty expires. Dealer inventories in Vancouver and Calgary show iXs sitting unsold for months, with carrying costs eroding profits. The BMW badge has not been enough to keep buyers loyal. At the top of the list, the Audi Q8 e-tron has become a warning for the luxury EV segment. Launched at around $95,000, by April 2026, MyEV listed nearly 100 used Q8s across Canada, some priced as low as $30,000. That is less than a third of the original sticker price, with many units parked on lots for over 180 days. Winter range tests show the Q8 e-tron manages only about 300 kilometers per charge, forcing buyers in cities like Montreal or Halifax to rethink every long drive. Canadian Black Book projects its 5-year retained value at just 27 to 35%, the lowest among its peers. Dealers have slashed prices and offered cash incentives, but the flood of listings on MyEV and AutoTrader Canada tells the story. The Q8 e-tron, once Audi's electric flagship, now cycles through wholesale auctions, its collapse marking the highest risk in Canada's premium EV market. Today, $80,000 luxury SUVs gather dust from Vancouver to Halifax, while depreciation outpaces badge prestige. In 2026, Canadian Black Book and Auto Trader Canada agree: know your resale math, test winter range, and never buy on hype alone. The market is moving. Don't let your investment freeze in place. Subscribe for more sharp market insights.